Hello guys, gals, and NBs. I've been trying to introduce more recursion to my systems. Why? Because recursive systems creates a more chaotic and organic feel. If you are metaphorically minded, a well-balanced chaotic system will create movement that reminds you of life in its most abstracted form. It can be beautiful. The behavior is only predictable in theory. Like John Conway's Game of Life. Read the Wikipedia page on chaos, and feedback if you are interested. Anyways, today we will make this blobular and fluid-like system in TOPS. And as a bonus at the end, I'll show you how you can use optical flow and a camera to interact with it. Let's get started. As always, a constant chop for resolution. Let's call the channels X and Y. Let's do 1080 by 1920 today. Let's use a math chop to divide those values. And get our aspect ratio. I'm renaming it to ratio. Into a merge. And I'm also going to put a keyboard into that merge. Let's collapse these. I'm going to reference these a lot, so I'm just going to keep this in the corner. We create our UV map with two ramps. First one, drag and drop the resolution. And it can be 32-bit float mono. Copy-paste it. Set it to vertical. A reorder top. Seconds input green. And we need to change the pixel format to 32-bit float red and green. Let's connect this to a null that we call UV end. Let's drop down a noise top. Drag and drop the resolution. "32-bit float red, green, blue, alpha." Let's connect that to a null that we call color end. Let's plug the UV into the seconds input of the noise. See how it's all stretched out? We can fix that by scaling it in the X direction with our ratio. And now, however we change our resolution, this will remain correct. Let's create some space. And drop down a null, called start. And a feedback top. Let's also use a select here toward the end, and select the start. Connect it to a level. And set the opacity to 0.001. Do you see how it's all black? We need that alpha channel. Let's change the pixel format to 32-bit float red, green, blue, alpha. And let's put this over the loop. Let's drop down the displace top in here. And let's get started creating our vectors. Let's start with a constant top. And zero it out. Drag and drop the res. 32-bit float red, green. Another feedback top. And drag the pulse to it. Let's see what happens here. The offset weight in the displace needs to be set to 0. And vertical source is green. Let's drag the color end to this feedback. And it's freaking ugly. Let's connect a slope to it. Set the 0 point to 0. And green to vertical luminance. Blue is 0. And the pixel format is 32-bit float red and green. And now it's ugly noise. But this type of noise means that we have a variation. We just need to soften that signal a little bit. We can do that with a math. I'm gonna leave this at 0.3 for now. And then connect a blur before the slope. Why is this happening? Oh, I forgot to link the UV end to the UV feedback. Let's do that. Now we have a reaction. Let's set this pre-shrink to 5. And the size to 10. But it's a little stretched out. So let's use our ratio as the displace weight in the x direction. Now this is fun. Let's translate the noise with a constant chop and a speed. Let's do a Paquita, and make this even more noisy. Turn the monochrome off. And let's copy-paste our slope 2 times. In the first one, we set the red output to horizontal red. And green to vertical red. The second one, let's set the red to horizontal green. And green to vertical green. The third one, red is horizontal blue. And green is vertical blue. Let's use a composite top. And add these values. Connect it to the displace. And now it's even more blobular. Let's just collapse these and call it slopes. This is nice. And of course, we can use a point transform. Set it to vector. And rotate these slopes 90 degrees in the z-plane. To get some correlage. That's pretty. Let's take it one step further. Connect this feedback to a monochrome. And connect it to the second input of the point transform. Now, the brighter and more high intensity an area is, the more curl it gets. I think this is really pretty. We can also drop down a level here to create even more dynamic changes in the contrast gamma and brightness. So feel free to play with this until you like the movement you see. I'm also going to drop down a noise on the UV. Now there is even more detail. Once we are happy with this movement, we can start rendering this. We can drop down another noise top. Set the resolution. And pixel format. And then we can select this noise. And plug it into the second input. I'm connecting this to a normal mount. And a monochrome. I want to multiply this with a color. So let's drop down another noise. And turn monochrome off. Perlin noise has such pretty colors. Multiply it with the normal texture. This is nice. But I want to bring the values up. With a math, we can just add 0.5. Don't forget to mask the alpha, like I did. We can drop down a keyboard connected to a count and reference that in the noise seed. This is nice. Play around with these values. Let's make this interactive. Let's use a video device in and connect to our web camera. Hello. Let's use a fit top. And fit outside. I'm also going to flip this, so it works like a mirror. Now let's bring in our optical flow from the palette. Ctrl B, under Tools. Optical flow gives you green and red pixels, depending on how much they have moved. And let's just add this to our vectors. We can interact with the fluid. It's easier to see in black and white. Like this. Have fun. Go crazy.